guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm not going to lie, I've been pretty unhealthy in the past few months with working from home and all. So I thought I would get back on track and try to do one thing that I've always loved doing, and that's to meal prep. I noticed that a lot of people who eat meals that have 3 different ingredients in them, and that's chicken, broccoli and rice. So today I thought I'd use those 3 ingredients and show you guys how I jazz things up so that I don't get bored of it throughout the week. So number 1, the first thing that we're going to work on is our chicken. I put in about 1 part honey, 2 parts soy sauce, and then also half a part of sesame oil. Oh, and I do add a little bit of garlic as well. So I mix that up all together so that it becomes homogeneous and has a smooth consistency. And that's going to give you a really nice marinade that's a little bit sweet. Your second marinade is going to be a little bit more of a Mexican flavor. So I use a bit of white pepper, a bit of paprika, and some of this taco seasoning mix that I've had in my cupboard for ages, and a bit of salt. So usually I would use like Nando seasoning, but I didn't have that at this stage. And then I mix that all together and make it homogeneous as well. You want to get 2 containers or 2 Ziploc bags. I'm using Ziploc bags because I can actually write on it. Obviously, to be more sustainable, please use some containers if you have them. I'm just going to write on the Ziploc bags the date as well as the title of the marinade, so then I know what's going in my fridge. Usually you can cook it straight after marinating for half an hour. However, I like to sometimes prepare and pop them in the freezer. I'm using 1 breast per marinade. Mix it around and make sure that the chicken is surrounded completely by the ingredients. And there you have it, your chicken is ready to go. So the next chicken I'm going to show you is actually my favorite, and it's because it's Hainanese chicken inspired, and I love a good Hainanese chicken meal. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt onto the chicken, pink salt of course. I'm going to be popping 2 or 3 green onions into each bag, a bit of ginger as well, and some chicken. What you're going to do next is grab a little bit of water. I got probably about a cup of water and put it into each bag, and this is so that we can actually get a nice broth from the chicken. So you want to close the bags and make sure there's as little air in it as possible. And this chicken we're going to be cooking a little bit differently. Today I'll be using my Innova cooker, which sous vide the chicken. I put some water into a pot and have it set at a temperature of 146 degrees Fahrenheit. And so what you want to do next is pop your chicken in, and I don't have clips, so I just used clothing pegs to peg it at the sides. Again, making sure that there is no air left in the bag, and a quick way to do this is to actually submerge your bag into the water before ziplocking it. So the other 2 chicken breasts have been marinating for about 2 to 3 hours. So I'm going to just be cooking it in a pan, but you can chuck it in the oven. You can use your Innova cooker if you have one, or you can actually even air fry them. So using a bit of coconut oil, I'm going to be frying off those chicken breasts, and you'll see that the soy sauce and the honey in this really does caramelize the chicken breast, and it tastes so good, and it's still super healthy because I used coconut oil to cook it. Obviously, this is a few more calories than eating just plain poached chicken, but if it fits into your diet, if you're on a diet, then definitely go for it because it tastes delicious. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other chicken. This one I've actually sliced it into strips because I find it easier to separate in containers, and also the flavors infuse a little bit better as well. You probably want to cook it about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. And again, placing the lid on top so then I don't get oil splatters all over my bench top. So that was the chicken, and now I'm going to show you guys how I do the sauces for the chicken. In this sauce, you want to have green onions chopped up, a little bit of ginger chopped up, some pink salt, and some fried shallots. And I just measure it by eye. I don't really have any measurements when it comes to this recipe. And then instead of using an olive oil or a canola oil, I actually used coconut oil in this, and I chuck it in the microwave for about 30 seconds for the coconut oil to melt, and just mix it in with the sauce. And then at the end, you should have this lovely, really aromatic paste that will go perfectly with your poached Hainanese chicken. Alright, so back to the chicken. Our Hainanese chicken has been poaching for about 2 to 3 hours now, so I'm going to take them out. Make sure you let it cool down first. So I pour out the juices into a separate bowl because we're actually going to be using that later on. As you can see, that chicken is super juicy and super tender. Although it looks a little bit pink, it's definitely cooked all the way through because it's been sous videing in the machine. Okay, so next up we're going to be cooking the rice. Usually I would be cooking with brown rice, however at home we only had white rice left. So today I'll be showing you all these recipes with white jasmine rice. However, you can opt in with any other rice that you'd like. Remember that broth that we had with the chicken? We're actually going to be using that as our first rice recipe. Usually a chicken broth would be made out of chicken bones or more juicy, fattier parts of the chicken. However, today, because we're cooking with a chicken breast, the flavor's not going to be as deep, but it will still infuse the flavor throughout the rice. So I've washed my rice and I'm going to be pouring in that broth that we had earlier. I had about 2 cups full of the broth and then topping it off with however much water I needed left. And this is going to be the most fragrant rice that you've had. It's delicious. Using my finger to measure like a true Asian. Alright, and then you have this beautiful fluffy white rice that's been infused with green onion, ginger, and that chicken broth that we had from earlier. So this next one is actually my favorite thing to do with rice. I just took a little bit of coconut milk and turmeric powder and I've put that in a pan, and then I'm going to take my plain cooked rice and chuck that in. You can actually cook this in the rice cooker rather than on a pan. However, I've had spare rice in my fridge, so I've decided to do it this way and it works just as well. You can even add a bit of garlic if you wanted. So I've mixed that all together and you get this beautiful yellow turmeric coconut rice that will go with pretty much anything. And finally, one of the easiest hacks I've learned is to cook quinoa with your rice. Again, what you want to do is grab your plain white or brown rice and mix that with the quinoa, and it will just add a different texture and flavor to the rice, and super high in protein as well. I hope you guys try out these recipes at home, and if you do, I'd love to see photos, so please send them through. Let me know what you think about the video in the comments below, and please like and subscribe to my channel. Bye everyone!